What's up? Uh-oh.
I forgot to unmute myself. Nobody could hear anything I just said.
Oh, what a good start.
I never do that either. Anyway, welcome back to the request, everybody. I'm Captain Logan. It's Austin the Day Ghost. You heard him introduce himself.
Oh, so I wasn't muted,
You
but
were
you
not
were.
muted, but I was, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, today we're finishing up, or starting to finish up Request Month. We've been doing requests all through the month of August, and I'm going to do one more on Monday for Rewind. And quick plug for that, that's going to be Bag's last Star Wars review and hopefully forever. But I'm, I'm doing Revenge of the Sith on Monday. That's going to be the end of Request Month. I say that, of course, Wednesday we'll have another request because every Wednesday we do this show, but we're doing it again tonight, and we're doing a real old request. Once again, another one going all the way back to the old Geeks United Club from years and years ago. This one was requested by Alex Breen, who I think is still a viewer. I think he's still around. So thanks for this from a long time ago, Alex, and hopefully you see this video. Tonight we're going to talk about a movie in a category that I'm not real familiar with, that I haven't spoke about a lot, and this is one of my few forays into this kind of thing. We've done a lot of like rom-coms and comedies and things on this show, but this falls more under the category of like a stoner comedy. Tonight we're doing Adventureland, which came out in 2009, and I remember Eisenberg being really kind of hot at that moment. That was the same year that weirdly he does two comedies about theme parks, kind of in the same year, or was that 10 or was that also
No, that was also
2009?
2009, and they have the same Rotten
Zombieland.
Tomatoes score.
That's
So
weird.
weird.
Yeah, 89%. That's so
Yeah.
weird.
Very
But
pathetic.
I gotta tell you, I don't remember advertisements for this movie or anybody talking about it. I had no idea what this was, and up until the night that I watched it, and I guess last night, I didn't even know what kind of a movie this was. I guess I was expecting another kind of anything with the word land in it. This is now our second land movie, I guess, because we also did Hollywoodland, and I guess I was expecting it to be some sort of like whimsical throwback thing. And I guess in a weird way it is that, because it's a nostalgic uh, period piece set in the late 80s, set in 87. Didn't we recently talk about another movie that was that was a period piece set in the year 1987? What was that? It was
Ooh,
something I just talked about.
I'm
I,
not
I gotta
sure.
go back and look at my reviews. There's something I just talked about that was like that was made like 12, 13 years after the year that it happened. What was that? Anyway, I gotta look that up. Austin, who was this directed by?
Oh, this is directed by the director of Superbad, whose name I don't remember, but he made both of these movies.
And that's a movie that people really like. I've never seen that either. It just never seemed like my kind of thing in my wheelhouse. If I had known about this movie, I wouldn't have probably bothered with it either. Which is the point of the show, because it kind of makes me get outside of my comfort zone and try things I wouldn't usually try. And Austin as well, especially with anime, but also maybe with this kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it's funny. So I watched this movie as a kid, and I was like, man, this movie's so boring.
Oh,
I
you had
hate
seen
it.
this. I forgot you told me that.
Yeah, and then when I clicked on it
Maybe it
last
wasn't
night,
a movie I reviewed. Maybe it was just a movie I watched on my own. This is gonna drive me crazy trying to remember what that movie was. Anyway, I'm sorry, good.
you're caught between life and the channel. You're like,
I
I don't know. It's
uh, th-
something.
that's the story of my life. That could be the name of my memoir.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I clicked on this last night and it was like, oh, director of Superbad, and I was like, oh, that's why I thought this movie was boring as a kid. Because I also thought Superbad was really boring as a kid, with the exception of the McLovin parts. I was like, okay, I think it was my cousin was like, oh, Superbad, it's so great, it's so great. Here's like this great stuff, and it was all the McLovin jokes, and I was like, wow, this movie sounds great. And then I watched it, and I was like, yeah, those parts were great, but there was like a whole movie around it.
And of course, I mean, you like a lot of, I would say, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, I think you kind of gravitate toward a lot of kind of dry humor stuff, awkward humor stuff. Like, this seems like the sort of thing that could be in your purview. I don't know. I know you liked Zombieland a lot, which has like some things in common with this humor wise, although I think it's a slightly different sensibility.
Well, and that was another big thing when I was a kid was I went, oh, Adventureland, Zombieland. It must be like the same cast, but like a different type of movie. Like that was like a horror movie. This is like an adventure movie. I'll go see this. This is gonna be fun.
Well, sure, and I can
Nope.
see why you would be bored and disappointed thinking you were, because it sounds like back then you thought you were watching something along the lines of what I thought this was gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a dumb 12-year-old, so I went, I don't know, like the movies are all kind of connected in that way. It must be like that. These are the land movies.
So typically, do you kind of avoid stoner comedies? And do you agree with
Yeah,
me that this kind of falls in that?
yeah, I saw somebody in the comments say that they wouldn't say this is a stoner comedy, but I don't know. I think it
There's
definitely
enough
is.
drugs in it. I guess I don't know what stoner comedy means if it's not that. Like, is a stoner comedy a movie that, like a comedy that you're supposed to get stoned watching? Or is it a comedy about people who get stoned? Like, is it, because I just don't know. It's not my thing. Is it for stoners or is it about stoners? That's
Well,
my question.
I think the
And let me say
stoner
this too.
comedy
I
thing.
partly I partly called it that in the description and when I was announcing this today to see if people would argue with me because I don't know for sure what that term means.
Well, I feel like it starts off like, oh, we just make movies about like stoner people, and then like, oh, if you're like into that culture, like maybe you'll like that. And then it slowly became, oh, everybody involved is stoned, and you can only enjoy it if you're stoned.
So it morphed.
I feel like it morphed. Like I feel like if you were to watch Cheech and Chong, you don't need to be high to watch that. Like they actually tried to like craft jokes,
Oh,
and then you get
Donnie
also.
Darko was set in 87.
Oh, okay, so that's what it was.
That's why. And of course, but just I've reviewed several things even since then. That was Monday, and
Yeah.
I was like, was that a thing that I just? And I was looking at my videos, and that didn't immediately jump out at me because I was like, oh, rewind, it wasn't that. No, it was that.
Well, I've
Anyway,
never seen that, so that wouldn't have jumped out to me
pardon me.
either.
That was going to distract me the entire video.
I could tell. It
Could
was
you see the
eating up
gears
inside.
working? Bro, I was like, caps on autopilot.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is really eating Cap alive.
Hey, before we move on, and I meant to mention this right at the beginning, but I was also distracted by the fact that no one could hear me. I wanted to let everybody know that we're doing kind of two parts to tonight's video. We're going to tell you what we thought of Adventureland, and then after that, we're going to. I thought it would be fun to do this because this was an idea Austin had, and I was like, yeah, this is the time to do it. Austin said, why don't we go ahead and do our rankings for everything we've done for requests so far for movies. Obviously, we've done TV shows and comics too, and we're not going to rank those just because it's kind of
It's
easier
a
to
lot
see it
easier on
all if we
Letterboxd.
just do it on Letterbox. Yeah. So maybe at some point we'll do like a full blown one where we'll actually write lists out. But we thought of this at the 11th hour. We didn't really have time to do that. So
Yeah, we
we'll
could
just
do that at the end of the year.
that's a great idea. But yeah, I thought request month it would be. You had a good idea because you were like, I kind of just want to show my list off, and I was like, well, I'll do it too. And then we'll make it kind of the end of request month. Here's where we're at with the request. I think got 23 movies so far, and you've seen 22 of them.
Yeah, I think that's what the number was.
So look forward to that. We'll do that at the end of the show. Austin, would you mind giving us a brief synopsis, please, of Adventureland?
Okay, Adventureland is the story of I guess like early 20s, late teen Lex Luthor as he needs money, so he goes to he goes to a theme park where he meets is it Bella Swan, I think, the girl from Twilight, and then they have a romance, even though she's also seeing Deadpool. And
Look, I was excited before we started that I could remember all the actors' names, and you're going to completely ruin that for me. Stop it.
and Lex Luthor's hanging out with Peter Parker's teacher. Anyway,
Well, okay, that guy I was going to continue referring to that way because I don't remember his name.
Martin Starr, I think, is his
Right
name.
off. Yes.
Yeah.
His name is
Uh,
Joel in this film, but I'm not going to remember everybody's names.
oh, he's like Billy Joel.
Sure.
That's
But
the
yeah,
way to remember it.
Eisenberg's character's name in this is James. He's referred to by his last name a lot, Brennan. It actually took me a while before I realized Brennan wasn't his first name. But yeah, James Brennan, and then Kristen Stewart is M, which
That's
you
right.
assume is short for Emily, but everyone only refers to her by her nickname. I thought that was a nice detail. That seems pretty true to life. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean that was basically it. It was, he
Oh,
comes of age and he
yeah.
gets his money and he goes on.
Sure. I mean, it's very much a rom com that feels like maybe a more tragic romance until you get to the end of the film and everything kind of works itself out. I kind of appreciated not really knowing what direction that was going, and if it was going to just be, ultimately kind of a lighter comedy with some, kind of darker real world elements, or if at the end it would kind of turn tragic and they wouldn't be together, and it actually could really go either way all the way until the last about minute and a half of the movie, and I thought that was kind of nice. Somebody in the comments when we were talking about the stoner thing, who was it? Fidelio says, and Fidelio is a big fan of this movie. Says I don't really consider it a stoner comedy, more of a coming of age film. I mean, it can be both. Coming of age is not really a genre or even a subgenre. It's kind of a character arc. A story type before it's a genre, wouldn't you say? I mean, you have coming of age stories
Yeah.
in superhero movies and science fiction films and anything, and you could say, well, you have romantic comedies and those sorts of in every kind of movie, also. But romantic comedy, as far as in like regular dramatic storytelling, as opposed to genre fiction, is a genre, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. No, absolutely. No, I think
It's just us humans are irritating. We have to classify everything.
no, I think there's enough like pot stuff in this for it to technically be a stoner comedy. It's just
And I'm
not
not
a
going to argue
movie
with
that
anybody
you
about
need
that.
that.
I was
Yeah.
just wondering. I wasn't sure if it counted or not. But yeah.
hmm Yeah, it's blurred lines.
But part of the reason I wanted to mention Fidelio's comment is I've not seen very many of those, as I've said before, and the ones I have, I've not really cared for most of them. Somebody requested one 3 or 4 years ago, well before you were on the show, and I was still doing them solo, and it was a difficult one to do by myself because this kind of thing is so far out of my wheelhouse. I'm trying to remember what that movie was, because one that everybody loves and I didn't care for, but it's not coming to me right off. What is that? Dazed and Confused, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Connor, I'm sure hates you for saying
I,
that.
I didn't like that movie, but but I was
I've
just
never
gonna say
seen
I would
it.
be surprised if a lot of stoner comedies weren't also coming of age stories, or stories about like young guys that should be coming of age but are refusing to grow up. I bet that's what a lot of those do.
No, it's a lot of coming of age and like burnouts.
And yeah, so like maybe this shouldn't classify because it's not about a burn. It's not even about a guy who's doing a lot of drugs or like addicted or anything. There's just we I don't want to say like. And first of all, it's pretty much just pot, right? We're not really dealing with anything else.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's typically what stoner movies are looking at is just pot.
yeah, and I mean like I don't even want to say like that kind of thing is super glorified in this so much as it's just a part of these people's lives in the late 80s, and that's one of the things that makes it kind of real worldy. And there's some comedy that's attempted with that, but I don't think it goes too far. It's not super over the top, and it's kind of just a part of life, which I liked. Alcohol's the same way, really.
hmm Yeah, no, in a way, this is, I guess, kind of like a Judd Apatow movie, but like slowed down and not as like improv-y.
Yeah,
Where it still has like a lot of that kind of like, the drinking, the pot, sex, all that stuff, but it's not really like, you know, Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd improving for like 5 minutes for a
yeah,
scene, like it's not like that.
and the majority of the characters are more likable and sympathetic to me than the ones in the kinds of movies that you're describing that I have happened to see. There's nothing mean-spirited about this movie. It's not a cynical thing, and when we're talking about comedies, of course, whether you're laughing and enjoying it, it tends to be pretty subjective. I always feel like I have to kind of put in the caveat. There's nothing wrong with cynicism sometimes if that's the point. The only time I complain about that is when the thing doesn't seem to know that it is, or it's trying to make you think it's not. But this is a real charming kind of movie that I didn't realize was going to be that within the first 10 or 15 minutes. Like, I wasn't trusting this material. Austin, I was like I got several minutes in and I was like, I don't want to watch this. This is not my thing. I don't. The parts where it was resonating with me, it was resonating with me in a way that I didn't want it to. Where I was like, I don't want to relive the crap jobs I had in high school and college. You know, I don't want to watch people cleaning up puke and being threatened over big ass pandas and I don't want to relive the parts of my life that reminds me of. I don't want to go back to like crappy rundown theme parks where I'm afraid that I'm gonna fall off the ride and die, you know. And then I think partly just because I was surprised by how much more I was liking the characters than I thought I would. Suddenly it started tickling my nostalgia bone a little bit, and that was weird because even being set in 1987, which is a period that I lived through, but I was only 3 years old. But of course, I watched a lot of movies from this period, and 91, 92, into the mid-90s, not that big of a different feel from my recollection as a kid from this. Initially, I was like, okay, this is a period that I recognize and was in a little bit and kind of missed, but this is this. I don't want to say seedy side of it, which is a part of it that I don't want to go to. And then half an hour in, suddenly I was really nostalgic for that period. And I think a lot of it, like I said, part of it is I was liking the two leads together, and I thought there was a lot of chemistry there, and was really surprised that worked as well as it did, and I'll talk about that. But I was also just impressed with how much it felt like we were really in that era. It's really authentic to that period. And it's not that Bumblebee thing of force it in your face, it's the 80s, you guys. Despite the 41 songs in the soundtrack, it just felt like we were there again. And I really appreciated that. So, it won me over in a weird way about half an hour in. But, yeah, what was your experience with it?
Well, I was just going to say, it's funny. I think I was half an hour in, and you were probably I don't know, 5 minutes. And we both texted each other at the exact same time about what we would rather be watching. And both are very telling to our personality.
Because I said Social Network, which was a movie that I had to watch for ReQuest, I think just before you came on. And I kind of wish you'd been there for that one. Because that's a movie I admire a lot. I had to watch that right around the same time as the Steve Jobs movie. The good one, not the lame one. And anyway, I was 5 minutes into this movie. I was like, can't I just be watching one of the other Jesse Eisenberg movies that I like more? He's typecast and everything. It's always gonna be that performance. Can I just watch him in a genre and with a script that I like? But so it took a while to turn me around. And there's a place in this movie that I might have just walked away from the film if I hadn't been forced to watch it. But once I got past that threshold, I was like, it's still not my thing. I don't know if I would necessarily go back to this. Mm-hmm. Unless somebody wanted to watch it that I knew. You know what I mean? But mm-hmm. It wasn't a waste of my time.
Yeah. Well, then for me, it was Napoleon Dynamite. Because for me, that's the king of awkward comedy.
Yeah.
Because I'm weird on awkward comedy. There's stuff where I'm just kind of and then there's stuff where I don't know, really connects with me, and that was a case where part way into the movie it was yeah, I kind of wish I was watching that instead.
But besides just wishing you were watching other things, just what was your overall experience with the thing?
My reaction was very similar to when I watched it as a kid, where I was mostly kind of bored, and I don't know, I perked up during songs and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I like the song. Okay. Oh, you just trashed Rock Me Amadeus. Okay, I'm down again. But
But from the
like,
perspective of those characters, like, of course that's
no,
how
no,
they
of
feel about it. Like,
course, of
when,
course.
like I said, there's so much drawing from clear personal experience on the part of the writer with
Mhm.
this, and it's actually based on a real theme park that existed, that the guy who wrote this had to work at when he was younger. So he also called Adventureland. So like, you can kind of tell sometimes when somebody's like writing from the heart and writing from personal experience, and a lot of that kind of stuff rings true. Like I'm sure a lot of us have had that job where we had to hear the same song like 15 times a day on a Muzak, and it kind of doesn't matter what the song is.
No, I know. I'm just joking because I like that song. But
I don't even think those people necessarily hated that song. They got really sick of that song.
yeah, no, I know. I'm just goofing around. But I don't know. Like, I never really connected with this movie. It was very much like it just kind of washed over me and was. Um, you know what I mean? Like it. I never really felt like I connected with anything.
Oh, really? Okay.
Jesse Eisenberg and like all these different people, I kind of just see in other roles that I've seen them in. Like you said, Jesse Eisenberg's always kind of similar.
Yeah.
But there was never a moment where I was like, okay, here's this character.
Well, and Senior Stick
And
says Eisenberg's not typecast; he's just a type. That's maybe
yeah,
fair.
exactly.
Yeah, I think I
I,
agree with
I would
that.
agree with that. Um, I don't know. Ryan Reynolds is always just Van Wilder to me. What's her face? Kristen Stewart, I think, is just Kristen Stewart. Like there was never a moment where I was just like, okay, like I'm in the movie now.
So I'm really surprised that we've got an almost like role reversal going on here, because this is a thing that I would have expected you to appreciate more than I did, and I think I was more impressed with it than you.
hmm
Particularly
I'm
with,
also weird about comedies, so.
but well, so am I though. Like
Mhm.
I'm in like trust me on this. I've got to be, because like you watch more comedy than me. That tends to be even a genre that I don't like go out of my way to look for, because I'm so picky. I
Mhm.
guarantee you I'm pickier on comedies than you are. But I don't know. I kind of would have expected this to maybe be sort of more your bag. But like the thing that I was most impressed with, that I think I latched onto real early, despite just how authentic everything felt, period wise and stuff, is Stewart's performance. Because outside of Twilight, I've never really seen her in anything, and I can't think of anything else. And and I've always been told that, sort of like Pattinson, like, no, this is a real actress. She's just, in that other thing
Mhm.
that's got weird writing, and she has to act a certain way. And once you see character or actors like that play like play a part in a regular film with like normal person writing, and a well written movie, you start to realize that the reason that they work in those really strange, heightened, not very well written movies like a Twilight is actually because they're good actors. You know what I mean? It's like they're not giving a Power Rangers performance; they're giving the performance that they have to give for that movie. And you see something else, and you're like, "Oh, that's like a real actor." Okay. I
we
loved her in this. I thought she was spectacular.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't know. There's just like maybe it's just like the character. Like it's just kind of like a type that I'm used to seeing her play. It
Yeah,
was just kind of like, I don't know. Um,
just the kind of dry, understated, can't get excited about
yeah,
anything
yeah, exactly. And
kind
it
of thing.
just kind of
This
never
is a
hit.
movie
I
about
mean, he is a good actor
mundanity.
side of Twilight. No, no, yeah, of course.
And sometimes I can really appreciate that, and sometimes I can't. And sometimes you just got to be in the right mood for that sort of thing, I guess. Although I say that, I wasn't, because I wanted to leave half an hour in. I don't know. But I think another thing that I latched onto ideal wise in this, like, let me step back a second and just say relationship stuff. It subverts expectations in nice ways. You really expect the love triangle to get out of hand and Ryan Reynolds to be cast because he's good at playing a jerk face, and he's he's kind of playing against that expectation, where like he is cheating on his wife with Kristen Stewart's character, and he's not doing the right thing, and yet he's a really nice guy, and he's like shockingly nice to the guy that he knows is dating the girl that he's sleeping around with, and I found that really refreshing. And like I like that he is kind of a d bag, but then he's also sympathetic, and like there's a lot of talk in this about just like um guys going with their like I'm trying to decide how to put this, like their instincts sexually, and whether they should get a pass for that. And I kind of appreciated some of the discussion with that, where like it's some of the women in the movie that are giving men too much of a pass for like doing the wrong thing and just sleeping around because they have hormones, and it's like that's just how guys are. And I thought it was like weirdly mature that too often it's like it's like the women in the movie saying, well, that's just how guys are, and then like holding themselves to too high of a standard. I thought that was really interesting. But I also the biggest idea I kind of latched onto and really appreciated that with this was just the kind of honesty as the best policy message. You got a lot of characters in this, especially Eisenberg, who like his candidness will get him into trouble, but ultimately it's his best asset. It's kind of it's kind of the thing that is his kryptonite and his best asset, simultaneously. And he kind of he makes a big mistake going out with a girl who he's just trying a date with because Kristen Stewart is not going is not getting as serious with him as he wants her to, and he takes that a little bit too far in the date that they're on, and then feels bad about it, and later just tells her every single thing that happened. And again, like it was just he's really sympathetic. People are like reasonable in this movie, and when they're not, there's consequences for it. And I really dug that. And there are scenes that could be obnoxious that are not overwritten and overstated, like the scene where I just thought it was a good little story, a little piece of cinema. Like I like the bit where Kristen Stewart is like getting drunk in front of her parents and just saying everything she's always wanted to say. It rang true. It's really well written. It seems like that's very often don't work, and it also helps that she's not like screaming.
Yeah, not going completely crazy. Yeah, I guess in that way, Jesse Eisenberg doesn't have a character arc in the sense that he changes. Like he's got that because he at the start he's like, oh, honest, like I got to be honest about stuff, and people are like, oh, well, you can't do that, like it messes with you. And then he just gets more confident in that.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He learns to stop being hit in the crotch and to hit other people in the crotch.
That's a good point. I would have never articulated it like that. Yeah, he changes in the sense that he I don't know, he finds things in life that he like appreciates, and he finds his how do I want to put this? He kind of finds his purpose, or at least his happiness, in an unexpected place, right? And that's kind of where the coming of age thing comes from. So like all he cares about is academia and success and living up to his parents' success and wealth. I think it's interesting that at the beginning of the movie they lose their wealth and they get kind of poor, and he's got to figure out a way to make it and to continue with his goals, and he just kind of used to having money. And so like he was trying to live up to his parents, and now he doesn't have that thing to live up to anymore. And now he's really got to find his own way. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And his parents seem to be kind of settling and putting up with their lot in life more than he wants them to. And so he's got to get like the crappy job. But again, he's reasonably sympathetic. He's not whining about it. I appreciate that when he gets the like crap summer job, he puts his best foot forward. He tries to make the best out of it. He's willing to do menial labor jobs even though he doesn't want to. He's lamenting more that he can't get those jobs than that he has to do them, which I like.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's not a whiny character. He just kind of takes the crap hand that he's dealt with, and then he's annoyed about it, but it's not like he's pulling a Spawn about it.
That's always our go-to for characters that just kind of sit around and complain about everything and are not proactive. Gotta hate not proactive characters. Generally speaking. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I gotta flip my sign green on this. Like I said, I don't know if this is the thing I would go back to. But I was surprised how invested I was in the relationship, and also it struck me interesting that I was watching a comedy that I wasn't finding that funny, but I was liking the drama in it. Like, I like the story more than I'm laughing with it.
Yeah, I guess that is nice that it tries to have a balance, so it's not just like a joke per minute, or per second, like a Judd Apatow comedy. But there is more like dramatic weight that you can latch onto, on top of the humor that is there.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like an excuse for jokes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also a little bit slice of life. Like, I bet I would be surprised if Connor didn't appreciate this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I mean, I say slice of life. It's not like it doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end either. It is a pretty literary kind of story.
Mm. No, but it's more slice of life and like the comedy and just kind of moment to moment bits and
Yeah,
how it's portrayed.
and real dry stuff. Where like a lot of the comedy, even if you're finding it funny, it's not laugh out loud funny. There's a couple of things here and there where I found myself chuckling, but like, for the most part, it was just kind of like, intellectually, I understand why that's amusing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the Beavis and Butthead MTV season thing where I think he's watching what's that show? Jersey Shore, and one of the guys on it makes a joke and Beavis is like, "Oh yeah, like I mean, like I get why that's funny, but I'm not laughing."
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes comedy is an intellectual exercise.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
here's an example. I wasn't actually laughing at this, but I found it amusing. I liked the bit where there's a couple that runs the amusement park, and it's really interesting how they seem like kind of cynical about it, but they like their job all at the same time. It's weird. They're like they kind of run it lazy, and they're in some ways they're kind of awful about it. Like, they don't have any money and they're running out of prizes, and they start making like bananas that have really crappy googly eyes on them, and whenever somebody wins the video, like, what is this, a banana? And it's stupid, and then they run out of googly eyes, so they start just putting eye patches on them. Like, that's kind of funny, but then,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not really laughing out loud, but I'm like, these people are really kind of messed up. Like, they're taking pride in what they're doing, but there's nothing to take pride in. I think that's what's funny about it. And then you get the bit where you have a guy that's trying to almost like kill Eisenberg's character. He's chasing after him, and Eisenberg runs into the trailer where the owners work, and he locks the door behind him. And the guy in the couple that runs the place, his wife hands him a baseball bat like this is just business as usual. Like on a daily basis, this sort of thing happens. This is their protocol. And he comes out and just like loses it on this guy, and he's like, and he's like threatening him, and he's screaming at him, and here's what I'm gonna do to you if you don't leave. And then just walks back in, and then it's business as usual again. And for a second, like, I think he's actually lost it. Like, this is his last straw. He's been pretending like he's fine, but this is it. And then he walks back in, and then he's just doing like invoice or something. And that was a pretty good scene.
No, you can tell, except Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig, you can tell that that this is like right when they're in SNL, because it's like they're that kind of like comedian where they bring them in and they're like, okay, like, do this, and they don't have a giant role or anything, but yeah, like it's got that kind of feel with how they're portrayed, I think.
Well, I was surprised by how reeled in they both were.
Yeah, it's not like over the top skit comedy, but it's like it does feel like they're a character that you would find in a skit. It's just not like an over the top one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put it like this: they are cartoon characters, but in like an adult, modern, like cartoon sitcom, as is the like best friend character who thinks he's found love and gets spurned right away, and that was actually like oddly sad and tragic. I didn't think I'd care anything about that guy, because he's just kind of going through the motions, and he's a little gross, and then suddenly I felt something for that guy, and I was sort of surprised by that. But anyway, they're cartoon characters like they came out of King of the Hill. It's like that.
Yeah. No, that's actually a perfect way of putting it.
I just had that thought where it's like, how am I finding this to be again kind of authentic, and it feels sort of real world, but at the same time there's sort of a heightened aspect to it. It feels like a cartoon. It's because of the way that a show like King of the Hill is really understated, but is also not exactly real. You know what I mean? Like it's you know it's highlighting the silly mundanities of life and the way we respond to them, and just how goofy real life is, and how much time we waste. You know, it feels like a lot of it is about that, and about like characters who want to strive to be more than they are in this small town where they just have to work for minimum wage and barely get by, and then and I think that this was another thing that really won me over with this and made me more invested than I thought I would be, particularly with Kristen Stewart's character. She's sleeping around with Ryan Reynolds, and that whole thing is like uncomfortable, but not to the point of gross, where it's just, it rings true. It's a small town. You've got a tiny gene pool, and like this is a guy that she finds attractive enough to sleep with, but she's not like looking for a serious relationship, and so like there's something that they're both giving each other, and they don't make a big deal out of how much older he is than her, but he feels older, and it's like it's weird and it's wrong, and they know it, but they're doing it anyway. And I guess the point I'm making is she's better than this, but is letting the world tell her she's not. So in a weird way, she's going through the motions and acting as this town has typecast her, and that's really sad. It happens to lots of people, and Eisenberg is constantly resisting that happening to him.
Yeah, exactly, because he still wants to get to like his big academic thing, kind of get out of this backwater town.
And that's why I say where he does kind of change is in realizing, isn't this interesting? Like, it's a kind of character that has like a thing they want and they try to achieve it, and by the end they get essentially what they were after all along, but for a totally different reason. So it's sort of like you thought you knew what you wanted, but you actually wanted something else. It's kind of like that, because like what he wants is to go to New York. Well, he gets that. And what he wants through a lot of the movie is to be with her, and he gets that, but he has to give up what he thinks he most cares about in order to have that. And he has to take huge risks. Like when you get to the end, he might starve. It doesn't end with, and he's figured out school, and he's got a good job. And the man doesn't even have clothes at the end of the film. He just has the girl he wants to be with, which is weirdly romantic. I like the ending of this movie a lot.
I don't know, just because you said it, now I wish this movie ended with like it cuts to black and then it has just like a picture of his face in black and white, and it's like, born this day and then died 2009.
Oh, it says like 1989?
Oh yeah,
He made 2 more years, that was it. Fidelio, I'm with you on this, because I was thinking Michael Cera through this whole thing. He says, I'm still surprised Michael Cera and Eisenberg haven't played brothers in anything. Yeah, I don't think they've ever been in a movie together, have they?
Not to my knowledge, but they both have like a similar vibe to them. And it makes sense because like this guy did Superbad, and that has Michael Cera, so I guess he likes doing these kinds of characters.
Sure. Yokonami. Acting wise, though, he was badly directed. They're sorry. They're talking about BVS, aren't they, with the Lex Luthor thing? Okay, I won't get into that. Folks are talking amongst
That's a whole
themselves
other can of worms.
about him playing Lex Luthor.
Although
Yeah.
Michael Cera should have been Maxwell Lord.
I can see that. But should he have been Maxwell Lord in the movie that had Maxwell Lord? That's the...
No, but only because the movie that had Maxwell Lord shouldn't have been made.
Certainly not the way it was. That's also an 80s period piece.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Because it has 1984 in the title.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Maxwell Lord in the in Justice League Mortal was supposed to be Jay Baruchel, I think his name's pronounced, who also has like that similar kind of vibe. So it almost happened.
Interesting. Yeah, I knew he was in that, but I didn't know who was playing him and what the type was supposed to be. I've read some pages of that script, but I've never finished it. I'm gonna start doing. I don't know when, but I'm gonna start doing occasional rewinds on unmade scripts. That's the thing I really want to do, and that was I was actually reading that for one at one point when I was still doing the show scripted, and I just didn't have time to write it. So now that I'm off the cuff, I'll go ahead and do that at some point.
Well, Mortal would be cool to do now because of that new DC guy.
Yeah, which I didn't talk about on the Captain Logan show this week because I didn't realize that's who that was. I wish I'd known. That would have been a different and more interesting conversation. But anyway, what else do you want to say about this? I'm sorry, I know I've kind of dominated because I surprisingly had more to say about this and liked this more than you did. So
no, that's fine because this is a movie where I'm like I don't know, I didn't really have a lot to say about it. Like it's just it just kind of happens when you're like, okay, here, go watch this movie and talk about it. You don't always have the most to say about them. I
always have too much to say. That's.
I don't know, there's just like a certain type where I'm like I've seen comedies like this. It's one of those. It's fine.
That's fair, but I've seen a lot of stuff like this that's not handled in as believable and mature of a way. Like mm-hmm. I like that we've got flawed characters, but reasonable characters, and characters that just feel like real people to me. I also like that we've got a movie here that's about, like I said, mundanity, and what happens overall is kind of inconsequential to obviously the rest of the world, and like it's just kind of a summer that for everybody else involved besides the couple that gets together at the end, it's kind of just another summer. And I like that because I was invested and I cared about what was happening, and there is a break in status quo and a real story that happens, and there's a definitive beginning, middle, and end. But it was also just life happening, and that's one of the reasons that I'm calling it authentic. Is that I appreciate that it's kind of just life happening, but I cared about it.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. It sounds like you kind of
they don't go to anywhere crazy with this, everything that happens can happen, and is mm-hmm. and is possibly likely to happen, and nothing is built on contrivance or anything. It's not a real plotty movie, which helps.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. No, it sounds like to a lesser degree you have with this movie what I have with Napoleon Dynamite, where it's just kind of except that's one of my favorite movies, and this is just a movie it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's just that kind of mundane comedy where it kind of just feels like you're in this area and with these characters that are growing up.
Well, and sometimes I appreciate things too much because of what I can't help but compare them to. Because there's too many love triangles and movies about characters, or about characters who fall in love and aren't telling each other everything, and that have secrets, and then that blows up in a real theatrical explosive kind of way where I don't like the people involved anymore because now they're out of character, because now they're acting, kind of wild and crazy, just for the sake of drama. And this is so understated. It feels like the way people that you might want to have coffee with would actually handle it. And that was nice. So I don't mean they're perfect. They're not squeaky clean. All of them make mistakes. And
there's people.
And Eisenberg, his character, and Stewart M, both of them make really crappy decisions in this, but decisions that are understandable based on where they come from and who they are and what's going on in the moment. Like
Mhm.
Stewart throws herself too much under the bus by the end. Like she's wronged him more than he's wronged her. Arguably, when you get, and I meant to talk about this earlier, when you get toward the end, it is wrong of Eisenberg's character to tell the girl that he went on the one date with about the promiscuousness of M. And then, of course, like, how could he not expect her to go tell, everybody about it? And now it's ruined M's reputation and she has to quit her job. Like, that's awful. Now they're both in a place of, we've both been really crappy to each other. We're either going to have to apologize and move on and never see each other again, or have a clean slate and recognize that we're both human and we made mistakes and there's no good reason at all we can't be together. And that's why they're finally getting together at the end when he goes to New York. Like, really worked to me, and I was glad that it happened. And it didn't seem cheap. Like, it seemed very earned. The happy ending by the end of this. And you and I have talked about a lot of happy endings that don't quite stick the landing. And this one, and I could have seen it go either way. Like when I say she's throwing herself under the bus at the end, she says, "I don't think I could be with you." And it's not because of what he did to her, it's because of what she did to him. And then and then again, she's reasonable. She's not going to let him just stand out in the rain. And so, they go up into her apartment, which is not a great looking apartment. It's very realistic. Maybe it's a little too big for New York, but it's pretty realistic,
It is pretty big. New York, it's like it's a little closet. It's
That's the
Harry
thing
Potter.
Spider-Man 2 got very right.
Yeah, no, it's Harry Potter's room in his aunt and uncle's house.
But, like, I think she's kind of maybe beating herself up too much by the end, where she's almost like punishing herself, not allowing herself to be, her to be happy. And it's like, there's no reason at all for these two people not to be together at the end. And so I was really surprised that it wins that, because it really could have gone the other way. And actually, I think that ending could have maybe worked also, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and was surprised by that. Because too often with a thing like this, I feel like that's not earned, and I go, nah, they should be unhappy. I was kind of glad they were happy. And I liked them, so I wanted them to be happy, But
No,
again,
for
part of
sure.
it was because I've hated a lot of things like this, and I actually sort of liked these people, and I didn't think I'd like Stewart at all once she showed up on screen, and immediately I was somewhat enamored with her, and I found her, like, I got why he liked her. And also, like, I never this is not a thing that I usually talk about, and is maybe gonna seem a little bit too surface, but like, I've never really seen her as especially attractive, and she is in this, and like, he's attracted to her, and I get why he is, and I just like really liked her, and I was like, okay, I'm rooting for you more because you're an actress I didn't think I'd root for. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Just give me Gene Kelly and Aunt Susie.
Or even Brooklyn.
Oh my god, if Brooklyn was in this movie, it would be 10 out of 10.
We've talked about a lot of romances on this show.
That is true. We get a lot of them. And we get movies that I don't even realize are rom-coms, like Charade.
Charade is absolutely a rom-com. Josh gave us $5 super chat. Thanks, man. He says, I love this movie. It was very important to me in high school. What is your favorite song or songs on the soundtrack?
Oh, that's easy.
At the moment, I know what yours is. At the moment, nothing's jumping out at me. Like, I remember, these are all songs I recognize. But I guess because I grew up listening to a lot of this kind of music, I wasn't really thinking that much about the soundtrack. It was just, this is what the 80s sounds like.
Mm-hmm. You're actually wrong about what you think mine is, because I know you think it's Rock Me Amadeus, but it's not.
Amadeus?
No, it's Modern Love, which is my favorite Bowie song.
Oh, that's fair. Sorry, I'm looking at some of these songs just to try to refresh my memory for a second.
I remember those two, and Satellite of Love's a big one.
Yeah.
The lead song.
I like the way they talk about Satellite of Love, where like Ryan Reynolds, because that's also a thing people do a lot and did a lot with songs on the radio, where you think it's one thing and you sing it that way all the time and it doesn't make any sense, but a lot of lyrics don't make sense in the first place, so you're like, well, that's what it sounds like, that's probably what it is, I don't know what it means, and you just sing it that way and be like, that's satellite of love, you idiot. You know,
not shed a light on love.
Shed a light, yeah. That was pretty good. And then Reynolds just pretends like he knew it all. Like, yeah, satellite. I'm like, we were talking about the song, and then he turns around and he starts saying satellite. And you're like, that's not what he was saying. That was pretty good.
Oh, you know what's a big song I had that with for the longest time was oh my god,
there's a Cure song in this that I like.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry,
good. The Prince song, Little Red Corvette. I always thought he was saying "Baby Come Back" for some reason. I don't know why. But I was a kid. So
Little Red Corvette is a weird song because he pronounces the word Corvette very strangely.
Yeah, I always thought he was being like, "Baby, come back. Baby, you're gone too fast." I don't know. I was a kid.
And then you go to we're off the rails here, but then you go to that infamous '90s song "Blue," "Dabba Dee Dabba I'm Blue."
Oh yeah, I'm blue. I believe I will die.
Yeah, and that guy also pronounces the word Corvette weird. And a blue Corvette, and you're like, do you know how to make a V? Can you say Corvette like Corvette? And it's like, how do you make your face do that?
I don't know. Well, he's like the little blue alien in the music video.
we need a. I wonder if Blue Man Group has ever done anything to that song, or if that's like too on the nose. They're gonna stay away from that.
I don't even really know what the Blue Man Group does, so
me neither. And I had a chance to see them in concert a few months ago, and I ended up passing it up for whatever reason. But I kind of wish I'd gone, just because I've always wondered what really Blue Man Group. Like my mom sends me a message and she's like, "Hey, do you want to go see Blue Man Group?" And I was like, "I think I do." I think it was just money that month. I think I was like trying to save cash, and I was like, "Yeah." I think it was more than I wanted to pay, and I don't mean to be cheap, but I think it was more than I wanted to pay for a ticket for a show of a group I don't know anything about. It was like, I think it was going to be like $75 or $100, and I was like, I don't know Blue Man Group. I don't know if I care enough to go to this.
No, I just know Blue Man Group for Arrested Development, which I don't think you've seen.
I have not.
There's a whole thing.
Never seemed like my thing.
There's a whole thing with one of the characters where he's really sad, so he finds the Blue Man Group, like they're hiring or something, and he's like, "Oh, like I'm feeling blue right now. I'm a blue man. I'll join this group."
That's pretty good. So I know I do this way too much. I always have to find the Star Trek reference or the Tick reference, but I gotta tell you about a joke in case you don't know about it that I love, and I quote it all the time, and of course nobody ever knows what I'm talking about. But Nestor Carbonell. Playing Batman well in the pilot for the Patrick Warburton Tick series, has a great joke about Amadeus, where there's just like random joke after random joke flying when you meet him and Captain Liberty on the roof. There's this great bit where it steps in gum on this roof. He's like, "Who puts gum on a roof?" And then Batman well gets a phone call, and again just like random, not about anything. He gets a phone call, and he gets out his cell phone, and he I don't remember the name of the character, but he says whoever it is, and he's like Falco died. Amadeus, he is a dead person. So random. That always stuck with me.
Well,
My wife says that. My wife says that all the time. It's like, Amadeus, he is a dead person.
That's awesome. Rock Me Amadeus is just awesome because it gave us the Dr. Zaius song from The Simpsons.
Oh, of course, that's why you love that song.
Well, I also just like that song, but that is a bonus.
Dr. Zaius. Anyway, well, you didn't like that as much as apparently I did, but would you flip green on it? Like, is it...
I'm gonna win villain of the stream.
I want you to flip red on this. I really do.
I'd say probably not. Yeah.
Oh, that's so. It's so weird, and I love how weird that is. That like a thing I'm calling a stoner comedy, I flipped green on, and you're like, not so much.
Yeah, I was just kind of bored. I don't know. I'll take villain of the stream. It's okay.
I'll send you the plaque. Villain of the stream.
That's my no prize, except I get a prize and a plaque.
So somehow we really did talk, and I should say I talked an hour. I bet if we...
I fit in some Arrested Development material. It's okay.
I bet if we went back and figured out percentages, you've got probably about 15, 17%.
Yeah.
So we are still going to go ahead and do the rankings real quick. And
yeah, and I just realized I didn't put this movie on it.
I thought you did that on purpose so that I wouldn't know how you came down on it.
No, I just forgot.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put. I'll go ahead and put it in. I can
put it in now while we're talking.
It's going to be so much higher on mine than yours. I guarantee it. I like it better than that. I like it better than that. Ooh, I don't like it better than that.
Ooh.
Are you having a hard time with it?
Yeah, I'm like, where should I put it?
Okay, I'm shocked by how high up I put that, but... And the more I'm talking about it, I'm liking it. More than even while I was watching
God, it's gonna be so bad when we get to mine. Okay.
It's okay. Look, you're entitled to your opinion. Your opinion can be wrong, but you're still entitled to it.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
Oh, it is kind of nice that they all fit on one page. Okay, would you send me yours so that I can show it on the screen?
Yes.
So we won't go back and forth on this. I think we'll just show yours and then show mine, and you can like read some highlights. Is that probably the way to go?
Yeah.
Because if we were going to spend
have to bounce back and forth.
If we were going to spend an hour on this, we might as well have made it a second video.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you'd send it to me on Facebook, I would appreciate it.
I just did.
There it is. Thank you very much. That sound means Austin
I should
sent
keep
me
it
his
open
list on Facebook. Okay, do you want to go first or second?
And a few other things. It's up to you. Actually, you go last because it's your you're the big one. I'll go first.
Okay, it's your channel. I mean, you're here a lot.
I'm just some guy.
Well, I appreciate
people
it.
Care more about yours.
Bag. I'm glad y'all covered this movie, so I finally could remember what Jesse Eisenberg theme park film I saw. I felt crazy for like 4 years, he says.
I think you're thinking of BVS.
He says, I don't remember anything about Zombieland, but I guess I must have seen it.
Well, I mean, possibly because they do go to a theme park, so maybe.
But he's saying that he saw this movie,
I know.
but not that. That's really funny.
Yeah.
One of the best jokes in Zombieland is effing snowballs.
Oh yeah, I was like, I was thinking snow, so I didn't jump straight to that. So I'm like,
when he's wanting Twinkies so bad,
yeah. and
then he finally finds a hostess truck and it's nothing but snowballs. He goes, effing snowballs!
Well, that's what this movie's missing for me is Woody Harrelson, because he's like the funny one.
See, Woody Harrelson would have ruined this movie. This is not a movie to put Woody Harrelson in. I like Woody Harrelson, don't get me wrong.
Any movie can have Woody Harrelson.
I like him a little less after he played Carnage, but I like Woody Harrelson. Anyway. Okay.
That's not his fault.
Let's start with... Yeah, he agreed to be in it. That's not cool. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and look at... Okay, this is really funny, because we reviewed the outfit, and so on Letterboxd, it is advertising the outfit.
Oh, that's great. Mine is advertising local meats that I can buy at grocery stores.
At least mine is relevant to movies.
Yeah, no, mine is just like, hey, go to this grocery store.
It's interesting that yours is showing something different.
You can get some strip loins, corn, crackle grilled cheese, pork back ribs, and ice cream.
Have some strip loins while you're watching the outfit. Okay, Austin, are you ready to talk about your list?
Yes.
All right, here we go. I give you the floor, sir. This is Austin's list.
Oh God. Okay. That is in fact my list. Um, I like most things that we've done on ReQuest, so I
Okay,
feel like.
let me ask you this:
Mhm.
what number on your list? And you guys see what his number one is. His number one is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. His least
Of
favorite
course.
is Man Who Invented Christmas. So let me ask you this:
I'm hoping yours is that too. Otherwise, I will freak.
we'll see. We'll see. What number would you say is the point where every movie after that is a movie that you would flip red?
Oh God. Okay. So I feel like the only two I like really like didn't really like are probably just the last two, and then I feel like from Boy Wonder to probably Snowpiercer, I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I feel like that's about that. So I think overall that is pretty good.
Yeah, no, it really is. The quality of picks on this show has been really solid, and I like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
and I like the diversity of kinds of things that we've had to watch.
Well, and I feel like
The variety.
at least the top five were movies that like I really loved. Maybe six because Dawn of the Dead's great too. Um, so like,
And that's, of course,
yeah,
a movie you knew already, but
yeah, of course. Um, no, but out of my top six, the only movies I'd seen before this were Dawn of the Dead and Psycho. So that's pretty good.
the only ones I had seen were Psycho, Eternal Sunshine. Maybe that's it. So I had seen two also.
Well, I guess throughout my entire list, it really was just those two, anyways. I was just looking at my top six, but yeah, I guess overall, those were the only two movies I hadn't seen before this. And Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is still the only movie I've like instantly bought after we reviewed it
Okay, so
because it's
that's
perfect.
not ironic. Your love for that movie.
No, I genuinely just really loved Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I'm going to visit my cousin next week, and I'm like, I need to show him Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. That movie's perfect.
So of your like higher picks, like you said five, like 1 through 5, you like really liked. Which of those movies, if any, would you say like penetrate your top like 20 or 30 favorite movies of all time? Like, is anything that good that you'd never seen before that viewers made us watch? Does anything get up in your upper echelon of favorite films?
In top 20, probably just Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Okay.
Top 100, I would say, um, because Psycho's in my top 100, so I'd say everything above Psycho at least makes it into my top 100. I guess I don't know. It's weird because now you gotta like change the like ranking, which gets weird because at the end of the day, rankings are arbitrary.
Are really
But
arbitrary. I don't know why we bother. People like, I mean, I do and I don't. Like, it's fun to do. It's just it could change tomorrow. It could
yeah,
change
exactly.
when I stop broadcasting. Like,
Hmm. No, exactly. I mean, it could change if I rewatched anything. Um,
okay,
absolutely.
let me point out anything I find surprising
Yeah, go for it.
with your ranking. I am surprised to see, where was it? Family Man as high as it is.
Family Man surprised me because I assumed it would be really boring and Nick Cage wouldn't get to be Nick Cage, and it wasn't. He did get to have those moments, and it's probably the thing I've quoted the most that we've watched from any of these, because there's been at least like 8 videos where I've done the like, I'm pissed.
And I always forget where that came from. But what's weird about it is anytime I've brought up a story point from that movie, I've had to jog your memory about it. You
because
never
I
remember any damn thing that happens in Family Man.
because the only things worth remembering were Nick Cage's performance, which was wonderful,
It
and it carried
has
me through.
it has some of the most cliched, terrible dialogue in the opening scene
The opening
that
scene
we've
is one of the
that
worst
I've
things I've
ever
ever
seen,
seen.
and it has a hackneyed ending that doesn't quite work.
Yeah. No, that movie just carries me through because Nick Cage is weird throughout it.
I mean, like the story was way better than I expected it to be with that terrible. I thought we were in for the long haul with that movie. You know, like some
No,
of the
well,
worst
yeah.
exposition and dialogue I've ever heard in absolutely anything. It was like somebody else wrote that scene, but then it's bookended by kind of nonsense. It's weird.
When I think I said in this,
This movie needs to stay out of airports, I think is what we're learning. It's just say, don't go to the airport.
yeah, well, I think I said it in that review. The opening scene, I was like, oh, this has to be like a scene in a movie in this movie, and we're gonna kind of back out.
Yeah,
And then it
I
never
had
happened.
that too. And then it was like, wait, that happens?
Yeah, because he walks in and he's like, as you know, I'm your boyfriend. We've been dating for a while, but I'm moving away. And it's like, wow, this is rough.
Okay, so other things that might be somewhat surprising. Most of this I'm not shocked by. Outfit I thought could be one or two higher for you.
Oh, okay,
Seven
yeah.
Samurai I didn't expect to be your number 2 spot.
Hmm.
But
No,
I
I
also,
really like that.
I figured that would be in your top 5. We both really like Charade. I didn't think that'd be top 3 for you. That's really neat that you like that much. That didn't
I'm a
even
big
get that
Bond
high
guy.
on mine, I don't think. I don't remember. I gotta look at it here in a second.
Well, I'm a
And
big Bond guy, so like that's why it kind of fit into that Sean Connery Bond sensibility. So it was like, oh, like this is just a movie that just kind of inherently fits into a slot that I have.
yeah, I have to keep reminding myself that it's a spy type movie because I always think about the rom com stuff in it.
When I watched it, not realizing it was a rom-com, I was like, this is a great spy movie.
And it's both though.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
of
good as
course.
both. Eraserhead, I know you liked better than I did. I did not expect that to be in your top 10.
Yeah, I'm like questioning it because I'm like, now that I'm looking at it, it
Is
should
it?
be under.
Do
It
you
should be
like
under
it?
silence.
And look, you feel free to do whatever you want to with your list. But so this is me saying, is it better? This is me saying, do. Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked on the wrong
No,
slide
it's
here.
okay.
No. I'm apologizing to the audience. I clicked on the wrong slide. You guys can't see what we're looking at. Um,
No, I just made an adjustment,
I'm
so I
like,
don't know. It probably won't load for you, but
no, I'll refresh. But I was just thinking, like,
no, because I was thinking about it, I'm
do
like,
you like that more than Silence? Do you like that more than The Irishman? Like,
well, and thinking about it, I'm like, okay,
and I
I
get you putting it above Family Man, but again, I thought Family Man was weird that it was that high. So yeah.
well, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I enjoyed talking to you about Eraserhead after the fact. Uh, the audio in that movie gave me a headache, so I had a
Yeah.
really bad viewing of it. So I'm looking at it again. I'm like, that's too high. Considering I liked it more talking to you about it afterwards than I did actually watching it.
As a general rule, I mean, you might just be like so impressed with a thing or it stuck with you enough that you would put it in your top 10 even if you never wanted to see it again. But I would think as a general rule, if it's in your top 10, it's probably a movie you would rewatch. I
Mhm.
would think. At least after we've done this many. Although maybe I shouldn't make that big of a deal out of 10 because we've only done 23. So like top 5
Yeah.
is probably a better snapshot of excellence to us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, I'd say at least the top 7 are movies I'd probably rewatch, like without a thought. Probably into 8. Like Anchor's Away, I could see watching again.
And I did just see
Uh,
that again over the weekend. I showed it to my family, and it's rewatchable. I mean, it's just a fun movie to watch.
I just need more Aunt Susie. Anyways,
She's Austin's cowbell. He's got to have more Aunt Susie.
I got a fever. And they on the prescription.
Uh,
Aunt Susie.
Snowpiercer, you were not real impressed with.
No, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't great. And I know that's like a big hot take because people love that movie.
And I also was not. I think I liked it more than
We
you did.
we were both pretty like middle of the road to not really caring for it.
Yeah. Okay, let me show you mine, and you can
Yeah.
do the same thing that I did for you. Just take a look, see what surprises you, and keep in mind, you've been working on your ranking over some time. I did it for the first time tonight, like half an hour before we started broadcasting.
Well,
Because
and even me, I had to adjust on the fly because I went, I don't agree with that.
some of this I might find myself doing the same thing with. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm still feeling a little bit funky even about like my number one. I don't know for sure. Like there's a
I
couple things
am
vying
not
for
sure
that.
what your number one is. I'm really interested to see.
And the thing is, I know what my number one would be if we had extended this into some movies that I did before you came on. So some of it gets kind of weirdly arbitrary because there's other things that should be here that aren't. And if I ever make a master list, it will look very different. But there will also be
Hmm.
probably, ooh, how many movies do you think? Probably 100, maybe 80.
A lot, I would imagine,
Maybe it's
because
not quite
it
that
goes
many.
across. Well, when did you start? Like 2018, 2017?
Well, okay, so if we count anything I've done for a paid request on the 20 or now $15 tier on Patreon, we have to go back to the omnibus
Yeah, like it
because
goes back far.
I used to offer monthly reviews, and I used to let as many as 12 people uh, be at that tier. So I would do 12 a month, which was
Mm.
nonsense, and I can't do that anymore. And I feel bad about how long I made people wait, but like the extra requests we did this month is about as much as I could probably handle.
Yeah, you don't want to do 3 a week, all in one night though. Every Wednesday we nail through three of them.
That makes it harder. Yeah, absolutely. And that's
Oh
not
yeah.
me saying like again, that's not me saying the picks are mostly awful and this is a chore and it's no fun to do. It's just it's a lot of things to keep straight. And do you ever do this when you review this much? And of course, I'm reviewing all the time. But like when we're just doing our Friday show, our normal Friday show, it's not always review. Sometimes it's just like blind commentary and stuff. So you get a breather. When you're reviewing this much, where you sit down and talk about something for an hour and you do it like 10 or 12 times in a month, do you ever find yourself like conflating plot points and scenes and moments with different things? Because I do that. Like, I'll get into a review and I'll be about to mention a thing. Nope, that didn't happen in that. That was last week's. Like,
Well, it was like when we talked about Anchors Away. We're like, oh, there's that Aunt Susie's a Bee song. It's like, oh, wait a minute, no, that was last week. Um,
I thought you were just joking.
no, I don't have that, but like for example, today, like so I watched Adventureland last night, and it was a movie that I was kind of like meh on, and like it didn't really leave a huge impression on me. And then all through today, I didn't have much to do at work, so I was finally finishing the Claremont run of Man Thing. So all day my mind's thinking about that, and now it's like okay, I got to shift gears and try to go back to this thing that I saw before that. Um, that didn't leave a giant impression on me. So it's like, okay, I gotta try to piece some of that together again.
I had a little of that too. Another thing that can suck is a little bit is when you and again nothing against the movie that we just watched because I did flip
Mm.
green, but it does suck sometimes when just before a show you watch something else that you'd rather talk about.
Yeah,
You know,
that's also me with
with
my
Man
reading.
Thing. Well, that's why I brought that up. My family wanted to watch a movie tonight, so we watched Strangers on a Train. Speaking of Hitchcock, because we've got Psycho on our list. And I
Oh,
had
that's not like snakes on a plane, but it's strangers on a train.
Strangers on a Train, and I had seen half of it before, and for some reason didn't finish it, and always meant to. And finally tonight we went back to it. And that movie is amazing, and like I'd love to do something on the channel about it at some point. And it
I
feels
should check
like
that out.
the kind of thing we would do a request on that somebody would ask for.
Hmm.
It might be on John Early's list. I can't remember because he's asked for like 4 or 5 Hitchcock things, so
Yeah.
we might have to do that. But it has one of the most ambitious, crazy climaxes of anything I've ever seen. Like if you shot that was what 54, 53, I can't remember. If you shot it now, people would be like, "That's insane."
Oh, I need to check that out. One of my big like film pleb things is that Psycho's the only Hitchcock movie I've seen, and I have a really nice Hitchcock set. I just haven't gone through them yet.
And you'd like a lot of those, man. Vertigo's
Oh yeah.
great. Rope is great. Uh, I mean, I've seen some other things, and I can't remember them all right off the top of my head. But not that I'm a huge Hitchcock guy, but I've seen more than you. And have you ever seen Hitchcock Presents?
No, that's probably a show I would like though.
You would.
Mhm.
There,
So I got
there's a classic
the
episode of that I love. I've only seen a few episodes, but
yeah.
the one I would recommend the most of what I've seen is, and I don't know the name of it, but it's real early because I was watching them in order, but I fell off of it. Go back at some point and find the episode where it's the whole thing is first person POV from a person who is in a body bag but turns out to still be alive.
Oh, crazy! That
That
sounds awesome.
that episode is amazing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like one of those things where it's either going to be really awesome or a oh my god, why did you make this? But it's Hitchcock, so it's probably great.
There's some lame stuff in it too, certainly, but
Mm.
that episode's amazing.
No, of
Anyway,
course.
do you want to see
No,
my
I
list?
got
I'm
uh
sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I got it was like a set of 30 Universal Monster movies and this big it's called like the House of Hitchcock set. And I got them at the same time and I was like, I'll go through all the Universal monsters and then I'll get to Hitchcock. And I fell off the Universal monsters, so I never got to Hitchcock. But I need to get back on that.
Bag says off topic, but well, we're off topic. It's on the topic that we got off topic, but is the topic that we've been discussing.
Disguised is another topic.
Which cut of Strangers on a Train did you watch? I didn't know there were multiple cuts, so I watched whatever I rented on Amazon because it's not streaming anywhere. It was on HBO Max, but it wasn't today, so I had to pay to rent it. So whatever Amazon had, but it was a nice print. Like it was a good transfer. So okay, here's my.
That's which cut it was. It was the good transfer cut.
Even that sounds better than the Spider-Man No Way Home more fun stuff cut or edition.
I just love that none of the previews they're putting out for that has that title in it.
Why are they even bothering with that? And I don't know. It's a stupid thing to call anything. And and it's also weird that they put the three Spider-Men on the poster, but not in the trailers.
Well, okay, so the initial trailer they didn't, and now they put out like two more, and one of them had the three Spider-Men, and the other one actually had a new shot in it. And I was like, oh,
Good.
there is new footage.
They all should have at least something.
Yeah, and
new, since that's
it was him in gym class, so I'm like, oh, so I was probably right. Most of what's cut is probably in that opening like half hour because it's really slashed apart.
You'd think re-releasing it, no matter what you do, people are gonna go hoping for a bunch more footage of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And if you don't have any of that lying around, don't bother putting it back out.
I mean, at the end of the day, it'll be better than the Endgame re-release. I don't know if you saw that.
I forgot they did. I did not see that.
The Endgame re-release is like one of the most embarrassing. Like I can't believe a studio released this. Where they put in the initial, like the original idea for Hulk's introduction, and like the CGI is not finished at all.
Oh, I did hear about that. And
yeah,
they put it in the theater.
And they put it in the theater, and it's really embarrassing. Like I have to imagine the Russo brothers looked at that and were like, "Oh, like, like it's real rough."
I really respected the one that they did for Deadpool 2 because it was a different cut. It was like
I forgot
they
that was put in the theater.
It. Yeah, and like it's got, it's got the framing device. Like whether you think it's real funny or not, it's not just bookended. It goes throughout. Like they keep cutting back to it.
And they put new stuff in it.
Yeah. And it's because there's a lot of improv in that movie, and so there's a bunch of stuff left on the cutting room floor, and you could re-edit that probably 18 different times and have different cuts because of all the different takes and stuff. And I don't know, like that was
I think Anchorman did that.
That was actually worth going to see in the theater, and I appreciate that they put it on DVD or in Blu-ray. But I digress.
Well, that's a big thing with Far From Home is that the extended cut should just be the movie, and it's not.
Well, you're saying that having not seen it, because they might put back stuff that they really should have cut. And so if you see it, you're like, okay, I get why you cut this stuff.
Well,
then you'll be glad that they didn't do that.
No, well, all the deleted stuff's on the DVD. It's just not put back in that movie. And there's like one Mysterio scene that you don't really need.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hate the freaking titles of those movies.
It's rough,
I
right?
thought you said No Way Home.
No, Far From Home.
Oh. Now I understand. Well, I
Yeah,
forgot.
who knows with No Way Home?
See, you told me the other day that they did that with that movie, but I didn't know that. So I'm having to go back into my recollection now. Oh yeah, okay. I thought we were still talking about the No Way Home thing.
Oh no,
The only
no.
the only person I've ever heard mention that they did that with Far From Home is you, like a day ago. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, because Endgame did it, and it like bumped them up over the Avatar box office, and people got mad. They were like, "Oh, it had to be released at that," even though Avatar also was re-released, and that's why it was so high. But anyways,
Yeah.
and then like a month later, Sony did it with Far From Home. So I figured after seeing No Way Home that they would do it with that movie as well, especially because there are places in that movie where it feels like they took the scissors to it in the editing room.
So maybe you
But
could
so
make a fuller cut. But I bet you go see that movie and you're like, nope, all the places where it felt like there's a scene missing, there's still a scene missing.
yeah, I mean that is still very possible. Like I imagine we get like another scene with Matt Murdock in a courtroom, more like a little bit more with the school. There's probably more stuff with the three Spider-Men, but probably not a lot. I think they've said it's only like 15 minutes longer.
Okay, look, I don't want this video to be 2 hours. Here's my list, okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Tell me what you think of my
Oh
list,
crap, hold on,
Austin.
I gotta zoom out. What was too far?
Oh,
Hold on.
you know what? I can send it to you also so you can see it better.
Yeah, my zoom's all messed up. Oh no.
Pardon me. Let me just send it to you.
Cap just doxed me.
I'm an idiot old person. I don't know what that means. Oh, actually, I do know what that means. No, I didn't. that was my Facebook, not yours. Like, how did I? What information could I have given away? Really, like.
Hey, my Facebook says that I live in Gotham. It has my address.
Okay, I'm sorry for being indulgent again and going off the rails once again for folks that really hate it when we don't stay on topic. Look, if you clicked on this just for that review, the review's done, okay? You don't have to stay. You don't have to still be here. Can I tell you a quick story, Austin?
Yeah.
Because this will never come up again, and that's why I'm doing it now. I'm shocked that you said that you did that where you're it says that you're from Gotham on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, so years ago when I was in college, I'm trying to, sorry, it's cloudy. I'm trying to remember the context of this. My wife and I were on campus and we had to go retrieve some information for something. I was like locked out of like my KU account or something, and the only way I could get back in was to like physically go to a building and get them to reset something. And you know how a lot of websites, you know how a normal person, you know how a lot of websites will give you like a personal questions so that you can retrieve your information, your password or whatever. And so it'll be like, what's your mother? There were two of them. You could pick between lots of stuff. What's your mother's maiden name? What city were you born in or from or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I couldn't get into my account is because I had, instead of the town I was born in, I had said Gotham.
Oh, Cap.
And I didn't remember that I did that. And the reason I thought I would remember it and it would be easier to get in because my hometown is Russellville, Arkansas, and I can never remember how many L's it has. And I was afraid that I would put it in wrong, and then whenever I would try to get back in, I would have the wrong spelling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a dumb kid in college, and that was really embarrassing because this woman behind this desk was like, "You put Gotham." Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's rough. I remember because I did that in high school, and I think one of my grandparents were like, "Oh, Austin put an address on Facebook," and my mom was like, "Oh, he did what now?" And then like she flipped out, and then she looked at it and it was like Gotham.
No, I really didn't know what doxing meant until just very recently. And so when you said that, I was like, I don't know what that means. Wait a minute, I do know what that means. Okay, here is my list. And yes, I did indeed put Man Who Invented Christmas at the very bottom.
Oh, whoops! I clicked on my list. I was like, "Wait a minute."
Oh wait, I also clicked on mine, but yes, or on yours. But yes, I did put Man Who Invented Christmas at the very bottom.
No, I looked down and I was like, wait a minute. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is your number one?
No, it's pretty low. And probably
Uh,
lower than it should be. Like, maybe I should lift that one or two.
oh no, you sent me my list.
Oh,
That's
did I really? Okay, hold on, hold on. I'll fix it. Hang on.
that's okay.
Quit making fun of me. God.
Cav just really loves Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh, I'm doxing you again. Hold on.
Ah,
I'm showing everybody my
oh,
Facebook.
I knew About Time was gonna be your number one.
It is. It's a wonderful film.
It was one of those. I'm like, that's probably it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, but am I like, is that too far? I don't know. Oh, we have the same bottom. Oh, Cav,
What?
Cav,
What?
you know what?
What?
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, fourth last.
No, I was just trying to explain that. Yeah, because you were talking over me. I was trying to say like, yes, that's probably lower than it should be. I just said that.
Ah.
Well, it's just like it was an interesting movie to talk about, but I didn't like watching it.
That makes me sad.
But it's well, and here's the other thing too. But what happened? Like I said, I had to throw this together real fast, so I didn't realize it was quite that far at the bottom. That was one of the first movies that I put on the list, and then I kept dropping it down because I knew it was
Oh
gonna.
yeah, that always happens when you're doing it right away.
So I forgot about it when I was moving some stuff around. So yeah, yes, I'm just explaining to you. It's lower than it should be.
You're so defensive about it.
No, I just don't want to talk about it. I get it. You love that movie. I don't understand your love for that movie. Yes, it's a little lower than it should be. Can we move on, please?
I'm surprised the outfit made it over Seven Samurai.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that either. That should maybe be flipped.
I mean, that's fine. They're both good movies. I was just surprised. I figured because you're a big.
I rushed this. Is the thing.
Well, no, just because I know you like the samurai aesthetic, so I figured that would be. I figured your number one was probably between Seven Samurai and About Time, but I was leaning more on About Time.
Straight Story, I stand behind though. I really like that, and you haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm. When I also didn't think Psycho would be your number two. I figured it'd be in the top five.
Psycho is just already one of my favorite movies.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Is kind of the problem. And Eternal Sunshine I like a lot, and you didn't seem to appreciate, but...
Well, I liked it fine. You're also more of a Jim Carrey guy than I am.
That
definitely bumps it up more for you.
That is fair, yeah. I think I have Snowpiercer a little higher than you, but still not as high as everybody else on the planet would have.
And I think it's more so higher just because there's things that I liked more that are below it. Like that previously mentioned movie I won't mention again, but also like the South Park movie you have a lot lower than I do.
Yeah, which shouldn't shock anybody. Like, I enjoyed that.
No,
but
it's higher than like I would have expected. You have it over The Family Man and Secondhand Lions, which are more like family movies.
It's a better movie than those. Like, just at a script story level. I think it's actually a better movie than those.
I am surprised that you have End of Evangelion as high as you do, just because that movie is like impossibly hard to follow without homework.
So it was fascinating and just more interesting than everything under it to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I almost put South Park over it.
That's the only movie that we've done for ReQuest that I watched multiple times going in, because I was like, well, then we did it as a commentary.
We did it as a commentary. And the reason we don't do these as commentaries is because of End of Evangelion. Mm-hmm. Probably never do that again.
I watched that 3 nights in a row. I watched it one night and I was like, wow.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, I have no idea. And then I went on Discord and I was like, hey, does anybody want to watch this with me tonight and explain it to me? And nobody had seen Evangelion. So we all watched and they all were like, well, we like this more than you do, but we don't know what's going on either. And then we watched it for the commentary.
We can't decipher it for you, Austin. You're gonna need to go to a detective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I feel like we have a lot of the same kind of middle ones. Maybe not exactly in the same order. But, like stuff like Your Silence, Hollywoodland, The Irishman. We both kind of have that in the same kind of area.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, I'm not surprised as high as it is because you're a secret zombie fan.
Well, here's what's weird about that. I had it lower by quite a bit for a while, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I really like this movie. Like,
wait a minute, I like zombies.
yeah, we had a whole discussion of that about how I'm a closeted zombie fan.
My favorite was I said it to you and you were like, "What? No, I'm not."
Weirdly.
Like, yeah. Here's all of the zombie things that you like.
You are the person that made me realize this about myself and patterned my food novel after a zombie book.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
My novel is a flat out, is a straight up parody of World War Z, and I reread World War Z as part of my research for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now we're just missing Day of the Dead. Like obviously we didn't do Night on here. You did Night like earlier on in the requests, but now we're just missing Day of the Dead to finish the trilogy. Night of the Living Dead. I feel like that original zombie
Somebody
trilogy.
requested that?
Yeah, isn't that like an old request? Or did you do the remake? I'm pretty sure I remember you reviewing that.
I've seen it.
Am I wrong about
that?
No,
I've seen. I can't remember why though. I can't remember if it was for a review or if I just watched it.
Oh, okay. I swear I remember you reviewing Night of the Living Dead.
Well, I mean, I could look it up. Like, I probably did, but you know, I've only made 5,000
But it also
videos.
might have been the remake, so I don't know.
Well, the remake. No, I think what happened was I watched the remake once on my own before I saw the original, and then somebody requested the original. Maybe they knew I'd seen that because I just like Tony Todd, so I watched it.
Yeah, well, I also saw the remake first. Yeah, we got to do Day of the Dead at some point, and then we can finish the trilogy. Yeah, Josh Doolittle says that you reviewed it with Eric.
I did it, but yeah, and that's why I don't remember it because so a lot of those reviews where I did several at once on the omnibus, I don't remember because I didn't make a video on it. It was part of a larger video.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that thing's crazy. It's like 12 hours. Like, I don't begrudge you for it bleeding together.
Yeah, can you believe we did that as long as we did that? Like,
that's crazy.
Never again, man. That was nuts.
We did ReQuest and the Friday show like back to back, and even that, like we'd hit the ReQuest and it was like, man, like we're afraid. And...
yeah, and I felt like it was affecting the quality of the thing a little bit, which is why we should end off right now, probably. Anything else you want to mention? Just about either of our lists or?
No, I feel like it's all pretty straightforward out of the ones I mentioned. Is there anything? Because I know I did a little bit of a spiel between about my list. Like, how would you break it down for movies that you really like and then movies you don't?
Oh, okay. Well, real quick, I'll just say,
yeah.
I know I was giving you crap for bringing it up, but yeah, Valley of the Dolls I would probably bring back up and put. No, I'll just tell you what I would put it. I put it right under South Park.
Okay, it's a little better.
Yeah, it does not have any rewatchability for me.
I mean, just think of the Bentley.
The place where I just don't care or start disliking things is. I guess technically right under Adventureland, but like even then it's like Evangelion's really interesting, and the South Park movie I would even probably watch again because it's fun. It's not really my thing, so I guess it's right after that, and then everything after that is like I don't really need this in my life really, but
yeah, for sure. And then like, do you have anything at the top that would crack your 100 or like top 20? About
Time would get close to my 20. I think I like it that much. Psycho, I think, was maybe even already on it.
It's weird, right? When you have to like take a list and be like, okay, like this is how I ranked these, and then like you have like another ranking, and it's like, okay, but how does this fit in? I definitely have letterbox ranks of different things that are in different orders depending on which list you're looking at.
I want to start playing with those more because I've gotten several subscribers to mine since I was doing Superhero Rewind, and I bet there's some folks that watch us that would just kind of enjoy that, like seeing my crazy list, because I would probably say some stupid things. It's like, really? That he likes that over that? So yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I already noticed a big one.
I'll also say that because like I said, we did some, or I did some other movies that you didn't get to see that would be pretty high ranked on this. Before Sunrise, before Sunrise, which is the best romantic film I've ever seen, would be in my top 20 easy, if not top 10.
Yeah.
Like films of all time. I
Yeah.
love that movie.
No, I figured you meant films of all time and not in your top 20 list of.
It's just barely edging out Eraserhead.
It didn't make the bottom 2.
I forgot I said 20. Anyway, well, folks, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I know we were a little all over the place and spastic toward the end, but I enjoy doing that every now and again. The review stopped quite a while ago. Austin and I will be back for another one next Wednesday, and Austin, we're going to be doing a Jujiro request, and he wants us to watch a few episodes of Ultraman. So, assuming we can get our hands on it, I need to look into that, and we'll definitely do that if we both are able to look at it, and if not, we'll go to something else on Jujiro's list, because he's given us quite a few things. He's staying on the request list, and we sure appreciate him for that. And thanks again to I want to say it was Alex.
Yeah, it was Alex Breen or something. Yeah.
One of the most mysterious races in Star Trek, Breen. Alex was really cool to do this a million years ago, and I finally got it knocked out. So anyway, thanks for your patience.
Yeah, there you go, Alex. If I were to give Adventureland a ranking out of 10, I would give it a 9. What are we doing next Friday?
What are we doing next Friday? We're getting back to the kind of fun random shows that we're doing. That we're letting. Sorry, I just wasn't thinking about that and forgot we were going to announce that at the show. For the 3 people that are probably still watching, we're so we've got folks on Patreon voting in a poll out of like 50 different things that Austin and I want to do. We constantly are just sending each other messages. Hey, put that on the list. All right. You realize we're going to be dead before we finish all of this. And so we're letting Patreon at the $5 tier or above pick weekly what we do for that show. I say mostly weekly. We're going to be getting back to Simpsons pretty soon, so we're not going to have people vote for that. That'll just edge out a Friday. But anyway, so
it'll be a lot of them.
Each of us picks 2 things to put on the poll. I haven't made it yet. I meant to. I forgot about that. So we'll announce it here, and then I'll get that put up for Patreon tomorrow. If you want to get to vote for that, patreon.com/geekvolution. The $5 tier gets you access to that. And we were just doing $5 for that, right? Yes. And then the $10 tier is
yes, the $10 tier is the Patreon one, or the sorry.
It's late.
Is the rewind vote.
Okay, so what 2 things are you putting on your list?
So the 2 things that I'm putting on the list are the Arlstein Man-Thing miniseries, because I hate myself, and commentary for the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
So there's a part of me that wants to say the commentary for Lone Ranger since you're doing that, but I'm not going to make
that is on the list.
I'm not going to make them fight each other. We'll do that another time. But yeah, so I almost
picked the Ring as my second one. I was like, I'll wait till October. So we almost had a full Gore Verbinski knockout.
It would have been great if we did that. We put something else on the list just so that it's all that director.
It's Cure for Wellness. That's our 4th one.
I'm gonna go with some reviews of What If comics. If we did that, we would each pick a couple and make each other read our picks, and then we would talk about each of them for just a few minutes each. And then the other one for me, I guess I'm just doing comics this time, is the first volume of Neil Gaiman's Sandman, because it's a huge blind spot for me, and I've never read it, and I want to watch that series, but I kind of want to see that show first. And I'm thinking that
read the comic first.
Since it's I want to read the comic first. I'm thinking since it's topical, it has a good chance of winning out this time. And if it doesn't, I'll go ahead and just like read some of it on my own, maybe, and not review and just have it before I watch that show. But
No, that's like me with the R.L. Stein Man thing. I'm probably going to read it this weekend anyways, and that won't win. But even if it somehow did, I would read it anyways. So,
well, guys, thanks again for watching. Hope you had a good time with us. We sure did, and we sure had a good time with you. And we'll see you again real soon. Rewind Monday night for Revenge of the Sith. So, watch that if it's been a while, if you want to hear me talk about that. And in the meantime, or don't, it's up to you. I was Captain Logan. This was Austin, the Day Ghost.
goodbye, everybody.
See you later, folks. Bye.